Hello, and welcome to A World with AI. Today, we are diving into one of the oldest mysteries on Earth, but we're tackling it with the newest technology you can possibly imagine. For centuries, we've looked at animals and wondered, what is going on in their heads? Are they just, creatures of instinct, or is there a real mind in there, thinking, feeling? Well, today, that's not just a question for philosophers anymore. It's actually a problem for software engineers.
We all grew up with this line from Dr. Seuss, right? It's this beautiful call for empathy, for seeing the value in every life, no matter what it looks like. But here's the thing, it's always been kind of a one-way street. It's a declaration we make about them.
What happens when no matter how small means they don't just deserve our protection, but they might actually have something to say to us? This is a huge deal, because that age-old dream of talking with animals, it's officially moving out of fairy tales and straight into the research lab. It's become one of the most exciting new frontiers for artificial intelligence. Yeah, what used to be pure fantasy is now the subject of some seriously intense scientific work. And let's be super clear here. This isn't about teaching a parrot to say pretty bird. No, this is about something way, way more profound. It's about finally learning to listen to what animals are already saying to each other in their own incredibly complex languages.
So what even is this technology? Well, at its core, it's a totally new kind of AI. It uses machine learning to analyze something called bioacoustics, which is really just a fancy word for all the sounds that living things make. It literally sifts through mountains of data. We're talking whale songs, elephant rumbles, bird calls, and it hunts for meaningful patterns. The whole goal isn't to teach them our language, but to finally translate theirs. And leading the charge on this is an amazing group called the Earth Species Project. They're a nonprofit backed by some major names, and their goal is, well, it's incredibly ambitious. They want to use AI to decode non-human languages to hopefully fundamentally change our relationship with the natural world.
So how in the world does this actually work? The best way to think about it is like a Rosetta Stone, but for the entire animal kingdom. It's a fascinating process. First, the AI just listens. It processes millions of hours of animal sounds, looking for anything that repeats. At the exact same time, computer vision systems are watching, analyzing body language and gestures that go with those sounds. Then, and this is the magic, it combines all that data together, the sound, the action, the environment, to get the complete picture. And finally, it uses these huge AI models, kind of like what's behind ChatGPT, to connect all the dots and figure out what it all means.
And I have to stress this point because it's absolutely crucial. This is not just another ChatGPT, not at all. A model like GPT-4 is trained on human language, on text and code from the internet. These new systems, though, they are built to understand a completely different universe of data. They're learning the languages of clicks and calls and gestures that have been evolving on this planet for millions and millions of years.
So, okay, we're building these incredible tools to listen, but that leads to a really profound question. Once we can actually understand them, what happens then? Are we even prepared for the answers we might get? You see, as we start to decode all these signals, we're discovering something truly mind-blowing. We're not just finding patterns in noise. We're coming face to face with the reality that we live on a planet that is absolutely teeming with complex, communicating minds. I mean, our understanding of animal intelligence has been slowly building for decades. We started with these amazing one-on-one studies like teaching sign language to Washoe the chimp, and of course, the incredible work with Coco the gorilla. But what's really changing now is the sheer scale of it all. AI is letting us leap from studying one single brilliant animal mind to analyzing the communications of entire species all at once. And with every single new discovery, whether it's crows that can craft their own tools or octopuses plotting these elaborate escapes, those hard lines we used to draw between us and them, they're just dissolving. The scientific consensus is here, and it's not a fringe idea anymore. Animals have rich, complex, and emotional inner lives, period. But here's the wild part. It turns out, this big scientific breakthrough isn't really news to most of us. The Earth Species Project did this huge global survey, and the results were just staggering. They found that 90% of people already believe that animals have their own languages, their own cultures, and their own emotions. It's like our collective intuition was way ahead of the science on this one. And that belief, it comes with a really powerful demand, because that same survey found that 85% of people want strict ethical rules put in place to make sure this technology isn't used to exploit animals.
The message couldn't be clearer. If we're finally going to listen, we have to do it with respect. So, all this data basically presents us with a fundamental choice. Are we going to stick with the old way of doing things, the old paradigm of domination, and just use this tech as another tool for control? Or do we embrace a completely new paradigm, one of dialogue and stewardship, where we finally move from just observing animals to actually sharing the planet with them? And this shift from just observing to actually participating, it opens up a future that is so radical it's hard to even wrap your head around. A future where the conversation moves out of the science lab and into our ethics, our laws, and our governments. I mean, things that sounded like pure science fiction just a few years ago are now being seriously debated at global forums. We're talking about concepts like uplifting animal intelligence through science, granting animals actual legal personhood, and even these really complex theories of animal citizenship. Some people are even proposing we create government bodies for, get this, interspecies diplomacy. Wow. Someone who took that global survey put it just perfectly. They said the most profound change would be a shift to ecocentric governance, a system where animals are treated like communicative partners, not just resources, and where the health of the planet is prioritized over short-term profit. Which, of course, brings us to the final critical question. As we build these unbelievable tools, we have to look in the mirror and ask ourselves, are we finally learning how to truly listen to the other minds on this planet? Or are we just building a more sophisticated cage, using this new understanding as just another form of control? The answer to a question that big, it's not going to be found in a lab or in a line of code. It's going to be decided by all of us, in the conversations that we have, and in the choices that we make from here on out. Are we learning to listen, or are we just building a better cage? We genuinely want to know what you think. Drop your answer in the comments below, and tell us, which animal would you want to talk to first? And hey, if this made you think, please share it with somebody you know who loves animals. And of course, if you want more explainers just like this one that tackle the biggest questions at the intersection of technology and humanity, please subscribe to A World with AI and make sure you hit that notification bell. We really want you to be part of this conversation. Thanks so much for watching.